Hey y'all, we're back with another episode of Philosophical Sessions. I am Takara, and this is my husband.
Kylie, what's good, y'all?
And so today is maybe somewhat different, just a little bit, because really I had a question for you that I thought would be good to be shared. So it's not, that is what we always do with philosophical sessions, but this is but normally the question is not about you. So,
Yo, you asking a question about me?
yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it could be made generalized, but my question for you is how did you learn yourself? Because I feel like that's something that you say often, that you know who you are and you knew who you were.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people struggle with that. I feel like, who am I, outside of being a mom? Who am I outside of if you're a professional, say an athlete, like football's life, and now all of a sudden you're injured, who am I, without those things. So
For sure, I get what you're saying, and I feel even just giving it a thought right now, a quick thought. I feel like it's easy for me to give an answer. I feel like the short version is I spent a lot of time by myself. So, as opposed to other people, they're out being social and they distract themselves from themselves. They don't really take the time to slow down, to sit with themselves and think about certain things because there's always a distraction that they're using to not be alone, to not sit with their thoughts. And so when the time comes it's a big issue.
Right.
And they don't necessarily know how to navigate those thoughts and cope with the thoughts that they're having because they haven't had any experience doing it. Because there's always something that they're doing to keep themselves from sitting with their thoughts, from thinking too long. Because one of the things that a lot of people don't like to do is sit and think. I do. I enjoy the solitude of my mind. I enjoy being able to think about my life, think about things that are going on in the world, figuring out what I like and what I don't like, or things that I was able to do growing up, because I did spend a lot of time solitary, you know? I was the youngest. I had siblings, but they were gone. So when they're gone, it's just me. So if I'm not spending time with my parents or doing schoolwork or whatever, I have time to be with myself and figure out, what do I want to do? Who am I? What are the things that I would enjoy? What are the things that I do not enjoy? How do I feel about certain things that are going on? I've always been a person that's been who's gravitated towards philosophical things by nature and knowledge and the pursuit of education and knowledge. I like to learn things. I like to know things. I'm a person who does not like to be uninformed. I don't like to be caught by surprise. I don't like not knowing things. I don't like feeling as if I lack knowledge on a particular matter. And if I am, I need to know how to learn that knowledge so I'm not in a place where I'm feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It makes me feel uncomfortable if I feel like I am intellectually at a disadvantage in any room I'm in. So I like to always make sure that I can be on par with whomever I'm having a conversation with in any room that I'm in any environment that I find myself navigating. I should be sure of my standing in that room and feel a sense of belonging. Even if it's not a place that I typically would be, I want to be comfortable and confident that I can handle this. There's nothing that you know that I don't know, and you're not going to make me feel less than due to my education and my intelligence, because my level of understanding is either the same as yours or far exceeds it, and that's where I like to remain.
Well, so with you saying that, well, two things. Because before, I'm probably gonna remember. So let me start at the end, which is confidence. Like that is something that plays a lot into knowing yourself. Is, but I guess it makes a new question of how do you actually gain confidence, because you were saying that like you want to make sure that no matter what room you're in, you're going to have the intelligence of whomever you're speaking with, you know, that you're going to be an intelligent person. And it made me think of like, I feel like that is one thing that is beautiful, when somebody can actually be vulnerable and be okay with saying, I don't know. like
Yeah.
they're like, you don't have to fear somebody knowing more than you.
Yeah.
And what you should do is be willing to learn, be willing to listen and learn. But don't, because that is just such a pet peeve when like people just BS like whatever they're saying,
Yeah.
it's just a bunch of BS because they want to sound like they know.
You have to actually know. It's just an important distinction. Like you still don't know.
It's okay to not know, actually.
Which is why I said earlier, if there is something that I don't know, is to figure out how to go about obtaining that knowledge to where it is something I now know. To where I have a big problem with feeling less than. I don't like to feel inadequate. And that a lot of that pressure is from myself, but it is also a societal thing. It's a cultural thing. I don't ever want to be in a position where somebody else can feel as if they have a standing that's higher than mine.
Yeah.
Because you're no better than me.
Right, yeah.
And intelligence is one of those ways that I am able to have that confidence of self, to where it is an insecurity of mine. It is something that makes me uncomfortable. So that's something that I'm actually in control of. No one can stop me from learning. No one can stop me from knowing things. That's something that doesn't come with the only way you could potentially stop me with that is having a piece of paper, a certain degree that says you're more qualified than me. But if we have a conversation on an equal playing field without that piece of paper in play, you might find out that there isn't that much difference that comes along with that piece of paper. You just have somebody who's able to vouch for your intelligence.
Right.
And that's pretty much all it is. You have a recommendation from somebody that says, hey, you know what? This guy's pretty smart. He was able to actually, he passed enough of our classes, so he's smart, I guess.
Right, yeah.
Hire that guy.
Right.
You know, we'll vouch for him. We're smart guys, and he's smart enough.
Meanwhile, they didn't do the work themselves, or they figured, cheat the system
all
somehow,
of the
some way.
workarounds.
Yeah.
Like there, all of these separate things and what so have you that give you those results. But
yeah,
I feel like that's a big thing with me, and one of the ways in which I've gotten to know myself is through my pursuit of knowledge and learning all aspects of life.
Yeah, and I say it all the time that wisdom is a big part of you.
Yeah.
But like the things that you're learning isn't necessarily knowing yourself.
Yeah, but that's I'm saying that's a large part of who I am, and that's one of the things that is important about me. One of the things that I have a high level of respect for, and that's important to me.
Yeah.
I really cannot stand people who choose to be ignorant.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
Yeah, it is.
Because you can learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can be open to learning, you can be willing to learn, but some people are just comfortable with ignorance without even choosing the choice to, you know what? There are things I can learn. There are people I can learn from. There are ways that I can be a better person. And just the complete aversion to that is bothersome to me. I've never liked that. But going back to the other aspects of learning my personality and learning who I am, it was taking those times to think where instead of where other teenagers were out at a party, I was at home. I was sitting with my thoughts. I had circumstances in my life where I was a home health aide. I was taking care of individuals who needed to be taken care of. So I'm balancing all of these different areas of life, these different aspects. And when you're so intimately intertwined with life and death, you really take stock in what's actually important. You learn what's important to you.
That's
You
a good
learn
point.
that who you are by what it is that you have to go through, what experiences you have. I grew up faster than most, but I had the capability to do that. So instead
Yeah.
of shirking the responsibilities of life or shrinking from them or running from them, I embraced them.
Right.
And because I already had the personality in place to do that. And then once being in these situations, I was able to continue to figure out the person I wanted to be and how to actually be that person and grow from I actually was at that point in time. So I'd say anybody who wants to learn themselves, actually take time to be with yourself, by
Yeah.
yourself,
Right.
and
Because
carve
that,
out those moments to make sure that you listen and learn, journal, ask yourself questions, answer those questions, because all of those things are extremely helpful.
I've been trying to say something. So, and you said it twice now about getting alone. And I just wanted to make the point of how that makes sense of when you said that they distract themselves from themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because even, I mean, just being out with their friends, or
Yeah.
whatever example you gave, that within itself is a distraction. But there's also the fact that, like, a lot of times we literally change who we are depending on who we're with.
Yeah.
So, like,
Because it's
it's
not
like,
who you are.
yeah, it's like a major form of distraction, and could cause confusion just by the simple fact that, like, you kind of just blending in with your environment.
And I would say, especially so for the people who didn't figure out who they were before deciding to get married. And then they just go along with whatever in order to not have conflict. They're just going along with things that really don't align with who they are because they don't know who they are. So they can't, they've entered into a relationship with somebody that doesn't know who they actually are, and now they're trying to be who that other person wants them to be instead of who they authentically are, because they
Yeah.
don't know. They
Yeah.
just are looking for something and someone to fill that void and make them feel something,
Yeah.
whatever that something is that it may be. It's never going to compare to actually knowing who you are and showing up as that person. Because once you know who you are and you're confident in that and comfortable with that, and you truly find somebody who's willing to accept who that person is, it's truly an unmatched feeling.
Do you feel like there's a difference between being alone with yourself and meditation?
Yes, I feel like meditation is more focused, it's more goal oriented, and it is, an entirely different experience that's geared for a specific outcome. Whereas just taking time to be with yourself is more exploratory. You don't have a goal in mind. You're just trying to figure some things out. Take the time to, just listen. You're not trying to silence your thoughts. With meditation, a lot of that is silencing thoughts
That's
and
true.
just focusing on nothing and the feeling and the emotion that comes with it. Being with yourself, you're able to just be you and figure out who that person is, because you don't have to turn off your thoughts. You don't have to perform for anybody else. You don't have to adhere to social cues and norms. You don't have to be anything for anybody. You just have to figure out who is the person sitting in this room with yourself.
That's very good, yeah. And then the other question I was thinking was, or is, um, how do you think that we could help our girls to know themselves? Like what, like how could we like cultivate that to where, I don't know, you take away electronics, like you have like a day of like,
yeah, give them opportunities,
like
opportunities to sit with self, and opportunities to where even if they are too young to the point of even sitting with themselves, give them the space to be with us and learn themselves by our interactions. Learn, express yourself, talk to us, have those conversations, those thoughts that come later in life that you need to have by yourself. The burden of you trying to figure those things out on your own as a small child, you don't have. You can talk to us to where we can help you figure out those thoughts and help cultivate that knowledge, those feelings of figuring out who you are and seeing the things that are innately within you by how you choose to navigate the world around you and conversations. Even just paying attention to the conversations you choose to have is also showing who you actually are, because there are some kids who want to talk about a TV show. There are some kids who want to talk about, you see me cooking, what are you cooking? What's that you're using? The things that they pay attention to are signs to pay attention to.
That's actually true.
What they're paying attention to gives you some indication to the person that they are and what's important to them, what stands out to them, and what they're just ignoring. It's really pretty interesting. Like even now, like seeing where our middle baby is starting to blossom and grow into this older child now.
Yeah.
Seeing her mind work as she's looking at certain things. You can see the wheels turning in her mind as she's looking at things. And even though she doesn't necessarily have the language to express her thoughts for certain things, you could see the thoughts.
Yeah.
It's not as if she's just existing and being a child and oblivious. She's thinking deeply about certain things that pique her interest. She'll stop and she'll pause whatever she's doing if she sees something. And that's really, truly amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Truly amazing.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, that was good.
That was a very interesting question that I can't say I've seen that coming. So that was nice.
Yeah, I thought so, and I think it's important for anybody. Like it was a question for you, but it definitely applies to all people. Period. Even if you don't have kids, like, or if you do have kids, how we talked about how you can help your kids know themselves. And if you don't have kids, it's really about how you can know yourself. So yeah, nice.
So as always, everybody, keep it intentional and support love. Stay well and prosper, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.